It infiltrates the mind. The ability to be good at something, like it makes people, I feel like certain people that don't have much more than just the dogs, like if there's nothing else in their life, they make this like it's God to them, dude.
Right.
Like, this is just what I do for a living, dude. I'm Captain Chad Gabbz, and I'm a father, dude. I'm all these other things that I am before a dog trainer, dude.
Right.
Like, this is just what I'm passionate about. I love this shit. So, like, people, I think if you're watching this right now, and if you feel like you've made this shit like your God, take a look at, like, your worth aside from this shit, because you're much more than just a fucking dog trainer. Like, I promise you.
Yeah. That can't be your whole identity.
Yo,
No, dude.
that was just elevated advice right there. That's gonna elevate you guys.
Welcome back, everybody. We're back today with my co-host,
Oscar Mora.
I'm Roel Guerra, and here we have today the CEO of Team Floppy Ears, Captain Chad Gabbz. Welcome, Captain Chad. Good to have you, brother.
Welcome, brother.
Thank you. Haven't really even shaken your hand yet, brother. Appreciate you guys having me for sure.
This is actually the first time we've ever met. But, you know, those of you who follow dog trainers, especially in the Southern California area, know exactly who this man is. You either hate to love him or you love to hate him. It's either one or the other. And for me, I love his content. And yeah, some of it can be controversial, but a little bit of controversy never hurt anybody.
It's good. I think the intent is always there of, trying to help people. So I think that's what counts the most. I think you sent me one of the first videos that I seen of Chad. And at first I was like, this dude's, he's a little extra. He goes a little too much. But then I couldn't stop. Like every time I see something that he posts, I'd be like, yo, this dude is funny. And then it added some value to, and I've always seen, how people appreciated your content. And man, I think you're doing good.
He's questionable.
Nah. You're good. So
thank you, brother.
First of all, man, let's get started, man. I mean, tell us a little bit about your story. I don't know if you've been in many other podcasts, but I think I want to learn more about you and see where you're at right now.
Yeah, this is actually my first podcast ever, and I think the fact that it's like a dog trainers podcast is interesting to me because over the course of like my 5-year tenure as a dog trainer, boy, they could be competitive with each other. You know? And it's one of those things that caught me off guard. And I think like, don't meet your heroes kind of comes into mind for me. Cause I was just like, what? Like people try to compete with you when you're not really necessarily even like, for me, I'm not trying to compete with any of these fellas. And for whatever reason, there's been like already like falling outs with these. And so I think it's been like a situation where I've become jaded almost to like even want to converse or, be attracted to other dog trainers because of the bad experiences that I've had in that regard. But with you guys, it honestly felt a little bit different, especially with you, like just the way that you sort of like welcomed me and accepted me for the things that you see that I post. And that's something that I value a lot because people take it as they will. And the fact that you took it gracefully and for what it was and not for what find a reason to just not like somebody.
Yeah.
You almost like look beyond, what it is and like, he's not really that bad of a guy. He's a little bit, and so for you to see that, like it means a lot to me. So yeah, no experience with podcasts. Probably for that, I just like close myself off to like most of the dog training community. But I am very attracted, not in that funny way. My wife would be like, dude, come on. But like, I think, when I watch you work dogs and I watch you guys work the dogs, I'm just like, I love it. I love it. It's on a different level. I'm obviously like a pet dog guy. You guys are that and much more.
Thank you, man.
And so it's super interesting. And I definitely at some point want to get out to your spot and do some work with you.
Yeah. Well, before we get started on your story, just that you just touched on that whole thing of like, being a little bit jaded, like you said, from other dog trainers. I think that it's something that really affects, new dog trainers that are coming in. It's like, it's intimidating because, and I got the same exact treatment when I started from some people questioned my loyalty because I became a dog trainer and they said, basically I should have been under them the whole time and not trying to do my own thing. And it is intimidating out there, guys. And so I'm really excited to hear more about your story and how, it looks like you're doing really well right now. So yeah, why don't you keep talking to us about that?
Yeah, I'm super, super blessed, super grateful. You had mentioned like you could kind of come into this game because we have social media. You could sort of like do some things, even if you don't have like all the dog training knowledge. You may not be like the best dog trainer in the world, but if you have other skills, other abilities, you might be able to grow subsequently, fast. Mm-hmm. And I think that's sort of my case. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of the dog trainers that have been in the game longer than me that sort of have like an insecurity about this type of thing, they look at me and they're like, this motherfucker is like, like dancing around like this fool they don't think I take it seriously. And like, they don't think that I should be where I'm at this early in the game. Yeah. And what they're not, what I think what they fail to see is that I have strengths elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And I think my main strength is that I really care. I actually really care about what I'm doing. They don't look, oh, this guy's got a family to support. They don't look at those things. Like I truly, with every client that I get, like I literally look in their eyes and I connect with them and I want them to know and feel that I think that they're important to me, because like my daughter eating and like all that, yep. That's what it depends on. And so people can say whatever they want. I think it's the feeling that you get from somebody that really resonates with people. And I think that's what I try to portray to every client. And of course, I think I do a pretty good job with the pet dog stuff. I think I typically will get the results, and I think results are the thing that ultimately, but I think my strength is I'm good with people. Like I'm good with like making them feel important, that empowering, yep. that they can do it. I think that's obviously what the pet dog thing is, helping them do it. And I think that's been really the secret to like where I am now. You mentioned like I'm doing good now, like, yeah. And I think ultimately, I guess that's why I'm off socials right now, because I wanted to prove to myself that the reason I'm successful isn't because I have a big social media following. Yeah. Amongst the other poisonous sides of socials that I just want to put to the side for now. But I think the success comes from other people telling other people about you. Like
that's it.
Regardless of like how big your socials are, somebody says, oh yeah, like, oh, your dog's so well behaved. Like they're like, oh yeah, well, so-and-so helped me. Oh, okay. Give me their stuff. Like I want that. Like that's ultimately, 100%. And I know guys that fucking hate on me that I've had falling outs with that literally rely on their socials. And I think to myself, like, why did he panic when he lost his platform? Why was that such a big deal? Because in my mind, I could delete it all. And because I do so good with my people, losing social media might be a hit, but it's not going to be the make or break me.
Yeah. Well, that did happen to you. You had a huge following on TikTok.
I did lose it. I did lose an account with
and I would say your following on TikTok was probably larger than your following on Instagram at the time.
Yeah.
From what I could remember.
Yes, indeed. It had like a 500,000 actually.
Wow.
Half mil. And that may have translated a little bit over to two completely separate platforms. Like most of the people on TikTok don't even fuck with Instagram and vice versa.
Where did that first start, where you had that feeling like, because I know, man, like that, what is it called, when you don't feel so secure in your abilities, what is it, like, you always feel like you don't know enough, or maybe
imposter syndrome.
The imposter syndrome. I have that all the time, and I'm like, and I feel kind of like how you felt, I think, is kind of like, because like right now I don't bring in board and train so I could train myself. So I feel like I'm a little bit out of the loop, and I'm like, I need to get back in, because I almost feel like I'm losing myself a little bit, because I don't personally train our board and trains anymore. I just help our trainers with their board and trains and whatever issues they're having, or try to help them as much as I can. But it's sometimes I do get those feelings of like, is it because of this that things are going good, or is it because of this? So man, I totally get where you're coming from as far as is it because of social media? Mm-hmm. And but I feel that ultimately, I mean, it's good that you want to prove to yourself, but I think that ultimately, who you are, personally, if you really sat down, and it's good that you got away, but bro, I mean, you on social media, I think you also have to take in consideration all the people that you're actually helping.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I feel for some reason, like I have like a couple 100,000 on all the platforms, but sometimes I just feel like no, they don't, like I don't want to get all like emo on this, but like sometimes I feel alone, like even with all this attention. And so like I was just like, I need like to regroup and to rethink why I'm on socials. Like, am I on it because it'll infiltrate and poison you and give you a false sense of, importance and security? And so putting it to the side is sort of allowing me to sort of reground myself and not look at my phone every fucking 5 seconds at like how good a post does and stuff like that, because it's taking a lot of time. And I think it was like playing games with my head and shit. And so, but yeah, and then also like nobody cares. Like, come on, dude, people care, and like based on what you say. So I will be back. I'll be back to shed the captain's light once again, because I do think people need it. I think especially now more than ever, because obviously the world's a bit crazy right now. So when I come back, I'll come back guns a blazing. I have in my mind like the way I want to like, I felt like I was just posting for the sake of posting without any sort of real, like, oh, well, it's another day, I better post some more stuff. Like,
that's why I haven't posted anything, bro.
I just wanted to have some sort of like meaning or like something, that I'm like, I could be proud about regardless of the analytics. Because I feel like I was just like really posting in reference to like play the game of social media, get the analytics, but like, what am I I'm like, so I don't know, well, it's a multitude of things.
I mean, I just piggybacking off what you said about feeling like alone sometimes. I think, I don't know if it's our age or what, but man, I feel like that all the time. I feel like if I didn't have, because I used to be in a band, right? And then the band kind of, I went onto dog training. We all went our separate ways. And these were like brothers to me. And then all of a sudden it's like, we don't even talk anymore, right? And so, and then I feel like, are these people that are involved with dogs with me, are we actually like connected, or is it just because of the dogs? Like without the dog, you know what I'm saying? And you do feel lonely sometimes. Like you're like, man, like
even though you're not alone,
it feels lonely. And just one more thing, right before we go back to you, your daughter's 5.
Yeah,
my daughter's 9, and I want to say like 2 weeks ago, my daughter walks in at night. She's kind of crying a little bit, and she's like, hey, and she's like, I feel that when I'm talking to you, you're not there. You're not listening to me. And you're either on a phone call, you're answering a text, or, bro, that right there is like, to me, it hit me kind of hard. I was like, oh shit. So now I'm trying to make it a point of like, keeping my phone away and all that stuff. But yeah, man, I think it's good. It's healthy, what you're doing right now.
Yeah. My wife is really good about making sure, because we're busy, man. And like, we're in the era where that's how we do business. And so you're constantly going to be doing that. And like you as a provider, like you don't want to miss out on an opportunity to continue providing in the same exact way. And so wifey's always like, hey dude, guess what? Like that actually can wait. And I'm like, you're right. And so we're definitely in the same boat as far as that's concerned. And yeah, dude, like I made the mistake of looking at my screen time. Like how often, like you can look at that, how many hours a day. And I'm like, oh my God, I was mortified at like how long I was on there. And I'm like, what was I doing? Checking analytics, like scrolling. Cause I don't really scroll too much. I don't really like obviously follow a lot of people, but I don't sit there and like scroll through and like, I don't live in comment sections and shit. I'm like typically like the creator. So what am I doing? I'm like literally looking at how posts are doing, or, all that shit adds up if you're like constantly for a couple minutes at a time or whatever, like checking that shit out. So
which I think it could be good if you had like maybe like your separate times to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'm going to focus on this so I could make this better or whatever. It's all part of owning a business too.
Indeed.
So I think it's a good, it just has to have that balance, right?
100%. I wasn't balancing it. So it's like, shut the engines down. Let's get back to neutral. Rethink how we're going to do this and manage our time a little bit better with it.
All right, man. Well, going on to another subject. I've seen a lot of your videos and your role on rescuing dogs. And man, I think that's, it takes somebody that really cares about animals, first of all, to go and start doing that the right way. Cause there's a lot of rescues that aren't doing it the right way. So man, why don't you talk to us a little bit about rescue and maybe some of the we'll just start from there.
Yeah, it's it's really interesting because people, like the new people of the last 3 to 4 years that are new to my platform, don't really know me as like the rescuer guy. It's a bit of a long-winded story, but that's how I got into this dog thing. Is I was immediately like, because I'm a pit bull guy, and so when I first discovered the pit bull thing, all the accounts and everything I saw at that time was all revolved around like pit bull rescue. And I had no idea. Like I had no idea what I was getting into, getting involved in that community or whatever. But I was really influenced, really influenced by, like the rescue community's perspective. Some of the more like, I would say like extreme type personalities in reference to that. And I think there's a lot of knowing what I know now, because I was somebody that was willing to grow and continue to actually learn about dogs instead of sort of stay in this sort of like emotionally charged space where I thought about things from an emotional standpoint as and compared to a primal perspective, or like how dogs actually learn and like what's actually really good for dogs, right? Because the average rescue person doesn't really look at what I believe to be like the most beneficial thing for the dog. It's more like, oh, they had a bad past, so let's give them all the freedom and let's baby them, which it comes from a good place in their heart. I don't fault them for that. But in any case, I've grown so much since then. And I just learned through the course of being involved in the rescue community that it has the tendency of being extraordinarily toxic. I think there's a lot of people involved in dog rescue that are broken people themselves. And I have been broken, but I'm not broken. You know what I mean? So I didn't really resonate. I didn't really fit in. And especially as I started to learn about things, my whole vantage point on dogs and what's good and what's valuable for them changed and evolved, while all the people that knew me for this super emotionally charged, they got left here while I kind of started to really learn and take things for what they are instead of what I really want them to be, And so I lost thousands and thousands of followers. And as a matter of fact, so many of them got so angry at me for my new viewpoints, because you guys know I'm very willing to talk about how I feel. Mm-hmm. They would do smear campaigns on me. They would find things that I said a long time ago in the heat of moments and screenshot them and make me out to look like a really bad person. And I could see how people would believe that, because when you take things out of context, it's really easy to. And so they basically did everything they could to smear my name and campaign against me as the guy that was pulling wool and I'm a con artist and this and that. And so they actually attacked my they turned their back on me that crazily that like they would attack people that would affiliate with me.
Got it.
And totally like tried to cancel me. And so that was like a hell of an experience to go through, especially considering all I ever had was good intentions.
Yeah. So you're saying basically the way that maybe you talked about the actual dog training and and not necessarily like the past story of these dogs and all that, and that's what like people affect, like what it affected them, or like maybe like different methods that you were using with these rescue dogs that they didn't appreciate, that they didn't agree with. Is that why they went against you, or what was?
I think ultimately it's because I started thinking differently than them, and I wasn't falling in line.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it the way that they wanted me to do it, and I wanted to do it in my own way. I wanted to do it in the way that I felt like all the new information that I learned was going to be of value, and it didn't involve around utilizing dogs' bad stories to gain. I don't feel the need to take advantage of people's wallets and these things just because a dog has a bad story. I know a lot of people, they get people to open their wallets just because they're like, hey, look at this dog, it's all fucked up, and like they're the same people that were trying to tell me I was a fake and fraud and this and that are the people that were.
Right. 100%.
They were throwing stones at somebody. They were just projecting their shit onto me and try to make me look like that guy. So it was a really, really, really like tough time. I think they were gaslighting me or some shit. I don't know. I think that's the thing. And I'm so grateful for that. And I know that might sound funny, but if there was ever a time in my life where I had to stand in my truth and really look at who I was as a person, it was when there was thousands of people trying to tell me that I was something that I was not.
Yeah, that'll show you who you are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
that'll mess you up. But
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit it'll make you go back and reevaluate and make sure you stand up for yourself in a sense.
I couldn't really even do shit at that point. Everybody had their beliefs, and like you couldn't even say anything. You know, it's like, okay, well, since I can't do anything other than just take accountability, if I said something and it was true and it was wrong, I would be like, hey man, like I said that in the heat of the moment and I didn't mean it, and I would hold myself accountable. Even though I could be stubborn, like I could definitely be like, hey man, yeah, actually I was wrong.
Yeah.
Like I was wrong there. So, but yeah, like rescue is what got me into this thing, and I got all this practice with that, and I value that time. I guess I value that hard experience because I was able to learn from that, and it got me out of the dog rescue game.
Got it.
And life has never been more peaceful. But I did get all the experience that I felt like was needed in that season, because I needed to know that I could help dogs from the training perspective before I could even consider asking somebody for money.
Right.
And so every now and again, I will go back to my roots because I do have a heart for these dogs that need help. And it's unfortunate that there were the people that sort of ruined my thing for rescue, that I don't do it quite as much.
Right.
But I'm also really successful with the training thing, so I don't have as much time for that. But every now and again, somebody will call me from back in the day, and they'll be like, yo, this dog Lucy she got left at a storage unit. It was all hot during the summer about a year ago. And so every now and again, I'll be like, the times that I choose to do this is when I'm going through something. I had just recently lost a dog named Franco. He was my training dog, but if you really connect with these dogs, even though they're just training dogs, if you lose them, it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
So he had an accident, a health thing. And so Franco had passed, and I was like fucking hurting. And so somebody from the storage place called me up, and they're like, yo, this dog got left here, and like normally I kind of ignore that stuff because I'm like, all right, so fuck it. I'm like feeling some kind of way. Like, I went down there, and she was sort of left there. She was like left tied to a little pole right outside the unit. I was under the impression that she was left in the unit, but she would have died had that been the case because it was so fucking hot. She was left right outside, tied to the deal, and I get there. She looks all emaciated and fucking hungry and shit. And like, I didn't know any of her story. And so I take her back to the ranch, and I get a phone call. Like, if you followed in the story,
I follow some of that, yeah.
So like, I get a phone call, and they're like, yo, like homeboy came back, and like he wants his dog. And I'm like, this bitch is like bleeding out the ass. She is emaciated. She got left there. Like, fuck you, man. You're not. I literally told them, I was like, first of all, why did you tell him that I have the dog?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I was like, why are you guys giving my information to a guy that clearly doesn't care about this dog, right? And so they're like, oh, well, and so I was like, no, I'm not giving the dog. Like, I'm keeping this dog to try to like help her out. And so it's still going to be a long story, but long story short, I did everything under the sun to try to fix her. She had she ended up having irritable bowel disease, and I didn't know that. Yeah. And so I went to the vet and got all these meds, and I tried 500 different diets, from raw to this other shit, vet prescribed shit. And I'll tell you what it was in the end. If you saw the update, I'll tell you what it was after the rest of the story. But 3 months I had her, and she was just awesome dog, great personality, dog friendly, cool. It was a bully mix. She was, and like, I fell in love with her. Everybody on the social media fell in love with her. I had "I Love Lucy" shirts made, that like a knockoff of the show. Like, it was a really great experience. And then all of a sudden, the police officer comes to my 3 months later. She's like, "Hey man, homeboy's outside," and I'm like, "What?" Like, he like went through like tons of paperwork to get like the warrant for this to be escorted. And
right.
So she comes on, and I'm like, "Hey man, like homeboy like emailed me. So he got all my information. He knew exactly where she was, and he knew exactly who I was."
Right.
He was following my social media the entire time. He was fucking watching, and He couldn't do shit because I said no. And if he showed up on my property without a police officer, he could probably tell that, probably not this guy,
Yeah.
So anyway, like I show her, he emailed me about how he admitted that he was having a bad day, how she had the bowel disease, shit all over his truck, and was like, fuck this, left her there. Like admitted that. And
he abandoned that dog.
I'm a very empathetic dude.
Right.
I even sat there. I sat there for 10 minutes after the email. I read this and I was just like pondering, should I give her back? Like, should I forgive him for this? Should I understand? And at the end of it, I was like, fuck that. I was like, he left her there. He consciously made that decision. Like, sorry, dude, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if it was somebody else, but like I was sort of abandoned myself, dude. So like, fuck you. Like, so he brought her back. He brought the cop, and then I showed her the email, and I was like, hopefully, like she sees this email about him admitting this shit and like looking at the condition. I showed her pictures. I showed the cop like the pictures of the dog, like how she looked all fucked up and all sad and shit. And she's like, well, according to the law, this is still his property. And so she made me give him back that day. And I was all fucking bummed out about that. And so fast forward 2 months. This was like last week. I got the email from him saying, hey, Chad, like I never really got a chance to thank you for doing everything you did for Lucy. And like, she's doing well. And wouldn't you know it, she's actually allergic to all protein. And I put her on this like vegan diet. And
wow.
Like, he literally showed me a picture of her poop. And like, that was the poop that I was going for the entire fucking time I had her. Like an actual turd. I know this sounds funny, but if you're
we're familiar.
Yeah, we know, we appreciate good turds.
Dude, dog people, right? Like, so I was like, oh my goodness. And honestly, I'm a firm believer dogs are carnivorous animals, but obviously in the rare case, like protein deficiency, like something wrong with protein with this specific dog. And I would have tried it. It was like my fucking last. It would have been like my last final thing. But like he took her back before I had that opportunity.
Man, so he wrote you like this email and he thanked you for it. And,
Yeah, he's like, thank you, man. Like I didn't have a chance to thank you for everything you did for her. And like it was like such closure because I had never heard from him or her after they came and commandeered her. And I shared that with the team and everybody was just like so happy to know that she was okay. Cause you have to assume like, oh, she's going back to that guy. Like how is she going to be? And I was just really grateful. He showed me a little video of her all happy and shit. And like, she even had like one of those like big dog gold chains on her.
Yeah. Do you after this whole thing, like, did it kind of make you think on like, just how you thought about him and like, cause he obviously messed up.
Yeah.
Right?
No, people, and that's the thing that I considered the first time. I was like, I make mistakes, dude. Like people make mistakes in life. Like they deserve a second chance. I mean, depending on like what it is, like to a degree. And like in this particular instance, I made the emotional choice because, I didn't have like my dad around and I feel like maybe like he kind of fucking abandoned me at some point. So I felt like that resentment, like I kind of took that on him in that regard. Like abandonment is like something that is like hard to forgive for me. Even though I've forgiven my father for that because he was going through his whole fucking his problems. And so my empathy, I try to keep an empathetic approach because Lord knows I need people to be empathetic towards me sometimes.
That's it. Yeah, man. I mean, this is I think a lot of people. I mean, even me. I had a really good, I had a good dad, good mom. But even me, I held some things against my pops, and then once you're older, you realize like, oh man, he was going through his own thing, and they were going through their own struggles. Like we were really broke at some point. And so, I mean, I think empathy is definitely needed, but I could see how you were pissed at that time.
Yeah.
And,
and of course, like I said, like the whole reason why I did this shit was because I was currently going through a rough time.
Right.
So like, emotions get involved and you make those choices, but yeah, man. So that was one of the few, like every now and again, I'll just go to the shelter and see if I can't find a little diamond. Because there's all kinds of little diamonds in there, man.
Yeah. You did that recently.
Yeah. Another little dog. So I've tried to pay homage to like what got me into this game. and I don't ask people for any help, or there's no monetary gain in it. I lose money. Like, I keep these dogs sometimes for months, and I feed them, and they're taking a training spot. Like, there's absolutely zero in it for me other than like the feeling and the gratification that I get from helping something or somebody without the expectation of anything in return.
Right.
Like gives you like peace in your heart. It's like a really good vibe. And I encourage anybody listening to this right now, if you're missing some of that in your life, take a look and like, have you done something for somebody else without any expectation at all recently? And if you haven't, like, give it a whirl and see like how that makes you feel.
That's awesome. I like that. Yeah. If you guys are listening, if you're a dog trainer out there, go do something good. And it really does. And it really is, at the end of the day, we're doing it for somebody else, but it really benefits us more when we do something like that. I know, whenever I have the opportunity to help somebody, it's like, it's more for me at the end of the day than for them.
If I wasn't doing this with good intentions, those people would have destroyed me when they attacked me. Yeah. They couldn't kill me. They couldn't stop me. They couldn't keep me from being successful because my intentions are pure, and they always have been from day one. God or whoever wouldn't be blessing me with the abundance that I have if I was some foul person.
Right.
Somebody at some point along the way, my karma would have caught up to me at some point that would have restricted me from these continued blessings.
Yep.
I'm just a dude that wanted to like do it his own way. And unfortunately, a lot of people do not like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I read my friend, she helps trainers put out like videos and stuff. It's Seen, Heard, Felt. If you guys don't follow her, make sure you guys follow her.
I will.
And she's always talking about how, like, we're actually making content not for other trainers. Like, and it's hard for us, for me, and that, because we know that other trainers are watching.
Yeah.
And so, but you have to get it in your head, like, yo, it's not for them. It's not for me. You're not putting out content for me.
Yeah.
You're putting out content for, whoever you can help, people with pet dogs and whatever you have. So, yeah, it's something that we need to make sure we're always conscious, of.
Yeah, that's something that I struggled with. Whenever I would put videos out, I was so worried about how other trainers would judge my training ability. Mm-hmm. And, I would stop posting, or I would stop sharing things, or I was just so worried. And I feel like I'm a person who normally doesn't care what other people think. But for some reason, when I got into dog training, just like you said, that, don't meet your heroes. There's a lot of toxicity amongst dog trainers. Mm-hmm. Because for some reason, dog trainers, if you're not doing it their way, it's not good.
Yeah.
If you're not conforming to their standard, why is this guy succeeding? He's not doing it my way. He shouldn't be at this where he's at now.
Yeah, he shouldn't have that many followers for that content.
Exactly.
But but then they're winning. I mean, then they're winning. Yeah. Then like other people are winning without them even knowing that they're beating you. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So to me, it's like, man,
I think it's if you study like human behavior, it just becomes like a threat to the way that they do their thing. And so if you're doing it differently than them, then it's like, well, I'm doing it wrong. Like, no, dude, mm-hmm. like there's a million different artists that are gonna be able to provide value in it, maybe a different way. That's why like all these people follow all of us, because like Chad's who he is, and I take my value from him the way that I do, and like and like so on and so forth. So in a perfect world, we could all harmonize and do that, but it's just it is what it is. And I think it's important to just learn how to navigate that. And again, going back to like, why am I posting it? Okay, I know these trainers are going to look at this and critique it and whatever. But actually, I'm posting this because, like, the video you posted about how to teach a dog to go around an object.
Yeah.
I have fucking mastered that, dude. And, like, that's honestly because I saw that post and the way that you explained it. And, like, I couldn't be more grateful that you post little things like that.
Yeah.
Because you're somebody that, like, obviously, I look up to you and shit like that. And like, I just love the way you do your thing, what you've done with your dogs. It's amazing. So like just a little simple post like that, you don't really know like who it is. Like you might be helping in the most like fundamental way. Like, and so like, hopefully that was the reason why you posted it, or.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. But it was one of those like, it was one of those like, man, I don't care what other people say. I'm just gonna make this video. Like, hey, here, and you know what's crazy is that I didn't even think like It's not something that I planned out. It was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make this video real quick. And I handed, was it you?
It was me. Yeah.
Yeah, I handed Roel the camera. I was like, here, let's film it. I'm gonna put it together, and we'll see what happens. And a bunch of people were hitting me up like, thank you. And I'm like, yo, that is it right there.
It
like,
created a trickle effect, because now when I go to Home Depot with my little dog that I've done this with, my little Jolie, I do that in front of people, and they're just like, how the fuck?
Yeah, bro.
Like,
so
it's actually relatively simple.
So I appreciate you mentioning that. I'm gonna go back, guys. I'm gonna put out more videos of teaching tricks.
Definitely should.
Yeah, I saw a post today. Can't remember who it was, but someone had said, he told him, money doesn't buy you happiness, and he said, no, you're wrong. Money doesn't bring you happiness. He said, money will bring you happiness when you get that money and you give it away. So basically, when you do something for other people, you will get happiness. And that's pretty much,
that's it.
That's what we're talking about right now. And we've said many times, there's nothing, one of the best things about dog training is knowing you're helping somebody's quality of life with their dog improve.
100%.
It's very rewarding.
If you could just simplify that and just kind of use that as like, people, there's guys that will talk, even in the dog trade, they'll talk shit to me about, like, one guy was like, oh, my client dogs are better than your actual dogs. And this is like a guy with a bunch of followers. And I'm like, cool, bro. That's cool. You might be right. Like, you might be right. I'm not an advanced obedience guy. I fancy it. I think it's great. I know I'm not the fucking best, like, advanced OB guy out there.
Right.
I said, but I help people.
That's it.
I help people, dude, and people know that I care about them, and that's why I'm more successful than you.
That's what it is.
Like, you could be better than me, bro. Good for you.
That's it, man.
Right there, that comment right there is why you're more successful than he is, because 100%. He has that attitude.
Yep. Man, you'd be surprised how many. I mean, a lot of trainers are like that, man. It's like,
it's sad, and
it sucks, you know. But at the end of the day, it's like if we all just worried about helping other people, like, we would be in a much better place, you know?
It infiltrates the mind. The ability to be good at something, like, it makes people, I feel like certain people that don't have much more than just the dogs, like, if there's nothing else in their life, they make this like it's God to them, dude.
Right.
Like, this is just what I do for a living, dude. I'm Captain Chad Gabbz, and I'm a father, dude. I'm all these other things that I am before a dog trainer, dude.
Right.
Like, this is just what I'm passionate about. I love this shit. So, like, people, I think if you're watching this right now, and if you feel like you've made this shit like your God, take a look at, like, your worth aside from this shit, because you're much more than just a fucking dog trainer. Like, I promise you.
Yeah. That can't be your whole identity.
Yo,
no, dude.
That was just an elevated advice right there. That's gonna elevate you guys. That's gonna elevate you guys. Make sure you guys take, man. Bro, I knew this was gonna be good, man. But I appreciate you, bro.
Team TFE, Team Floppy, man. Elevated.
And you know what? Why don't we do this, man? I mean, we're not even done, guys. But I know you've already given a lot, but why don't we do like a challenge or something? Like, have people just put out videos of, like, trying to help other people. Not really, like, who cares about other trainers?
Yeah.
Do your style. Like, whatever you do, just put it out there. Don't care about what other people think.
Oh, don't get me started. I feel like one of the reasons why I became successful on social media is because of my willingness to just sort of put out what I was feeling at the time. There's nothing more authentic than to create the content when you're actually feeling it. It's much different than to, like, have an idea and then later on fucking, like, produce it because you thought about it. It's like, in the moment, being authentic. That's the thing that people actually resonate with me particularly, is like, I'll be pissed or I'll be sad. I'll cry, dude. Like, and those are the things that make you human. And, like, for somebody with, like, a big platform and stuff like that, for other people that don't have big platforms, when they see somebody like that be a human, it's extremely empowering, and it will really encourage a lot of people to, like, get on board with you, because that's like the real connection. And if you want people to actually follow you, if you want to build an actual community, you have to sort of produce your content in a way that's going to really connect to those people, not just like what you think they want to see. Like, of course I do that. Like, I play with it, but, like, from a very organic level, That's the approach.
Like, maybe it has nothing to do with dog training
100%.
and everything to do with just being yourself and, somebody compare, like, being able to see themselves in what you're doing and seeing that they could do what you're doing, maybe,
100%.
or, so
when I share that I have like this thing called trichotillomania, which is like excessive hair pulling of my eyebrows specifically, people have it all over there. It depends. When I share shit like that, you wouldn't believe like the messages I get from people who are just so afraid to talk about something like that. And then like they see Captain Chad talk about that shit with like all these eyes on him. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe you shared that. Like, what, bro? Like, it's a humanizing thing, like, and it really shows that I don't think that I'm above anybody else. And people love that about somebody with a big platform and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Because they get so used to like sending DMs to people with big platforms and getting ghosted and shit like that because they're just so above. Like, I literally, like when I'm on socials, I answer every single DM I get. Like everyone, like. That's cool. Unless, of course, I read the message and it's buffoonery, which I get a lot of. But
actually, man, answering people is a big deal. Not, and I know it's good. For me, it's not that hard because I don't have a huge following. But even then, like if I get a message of a young, youngster that wants to be a dog trainer, I'll send them a voice message, or I'll even be like, "Yo, send me your number." And if I'm driving, I'll give them a call and be like, "Hey, like." Bro, people appreciate that so much, man.
Oh, that's the grace you showed me. I was like, holy fuck. I didn't know you at the time. I didn't know what to expect. And like, that's what you showed me. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. That's like super, super extremely refreshing because as much as I'm jaded from all this shit, if it's going to be cool, then I'm like, fuck yeah. Like I've learned to like throw my heart over the fence again. Like there was a while where it was just never happening. I would never be sitting here.
Right.
Like my heart was just like too broken, But like after enough time goes by, you're like, fuck, you start to think like continuing to close myself off like this is going to keep me from meeting really fucking cool people.
Right.
So it's a risk when you give your heart to people, no matter if it's in like a romantic relationship or if some dog training or it's a risk at the end of the day.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, man, we got some good stuff right here, man.
Yeah,
this is good. So why don't we go back into where you at right now? Where's Team Floppy Ears? What is it like? Are you doing like private training?
Yeah. So my ham and eggs is just people on the fundamental level of just needing better communication, better relationship with their dogs. Every now and again, I'll do like a little bit more of like more of the dangerous, like super dog reactive or. Mm-hmm. That type of case. So we just do board and trains right there in Corona.
Got it. So what do you think? What do you think is the biggest issue that you've seen from your clients that come in?
For me, it's a disconnection. It's people who don't really have any sort of relationship with their dogs. Maybe spending a lot of time with their dogs, but not spending the type of time where we're learning. Obviously, dogs are always learning, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of these dogs are learning the bad habits right underneath their noses, and these people have no idea like what to allow. So I always tell them, I said, look, dude, obviously sit down, stay here, heal, all that stuff is like a part of this thing. But I think the more important thing to focus on is like how you're living together.
100%.
Like what's the day in the life like? Like, What are you allowing? What are you not allowing? And I think it's up to us to help them produce a better relationship just by pointing some of these super basic things. I've never looked in the eyes of a client and they're like confused. They're like, oh, make them wait a little bit or right. Like, make them earn some things instead of just the allowance, like super basic. And that's why I don't let people really infiltrate, how I feel about myself because the only opinions that really matter are the people who I'm helping. Like I care about what you think, but about this guy who thinks he's better than me, like, cool, think what you want, bro. Like, doesn't matter.
So, right there where you're talking about, a sit down, stand, whatever. Mm-hmm. I think we've had this issue as trainers that sometimes we get stuck trying to teach these behaviors, but it's a very small piece of the puzzle of getting a dog, of getting a client and their dog to really interact with each other. And so, like, you'll see trainers that and this was me too. I'm not putting videos, and we'll still do it, going to the place, recall this and that. And then if the dog isn't in the training session, he's like, I'm not listening right now. And it's like, So as you know, I think sometimes we have to make sure that training happens all day. It's it's you ask your dog to wait at the door. If he doesn't do it, you follow through with just grabbing your leash, correcting him, putting him in the right place, going through it again. He does good. Okay, let's go through with it. And not necessarily in a training session. And so right now that you talked about that, I don't know why it just came up. Like,
yeah, there's no substitute for, the repetitions that are required for this thing. Like, without the repetitions and this over and over thing, dogs are just going to dog, dude. They're going to dog. And so, like, there's just dog behaviors. There's dog behaviors. And the more you work on this shit, the quicker you're going to get them to stop doing those dog behaviors. So that's it. It's a very base for me. Like, I think what y'all do is on a whole fucking another level. I think what I do is simple. And you do what I do as well. But I'm saying, like, from this advanced shit, like, everything I see you do, like, that's remarkable to me.
Again, that's like, it's a complete different thing that we're doing, but I've seen what you're doing right now with your dog, with the little black one,
Jojo, yeah.
And I can assure you that in 1 year, I don't know how old is the dog right now.
She's 6 months.
So at a year old, you're going to see that your dog is not going to be much different than what we have, because you're putting in the work, you're putting in the reps, and at some point it all comes together. So, and then, people are still going to talk shit though.
Yeah.
So make sure that doesn't matter. But from what I see from what you're doing right now, you are going to be just and at the end of the day, man, it's like, it's cool. We show all these focus healing videos, and, it's different for people that have never seen it. It's like, oh shoot, I've never seen that. But it's just repetitions. It's nothing, to me at least, it's nothing, it's not rocket science anymore. I don't feel about it like, I don't feel about it like how I used to. Like, oh, look, man, I used to be that guy that would look at other trainers and be like, why are they stepping on this? Why are they where they're at, and they're not even good trainers? That used to be me years ago. And, and I had to catch myself like, yo, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're doing, what they're obviously, doing good work over there. So you're going to be there. Watch. You'll see, bro.
Yeah,
that puppy.
I feel like there's probably like some new small little nuances or small little things that would play a big role in me trying to sort of, navigate this advanced stuff that I could certainly learn from you. That's why one of these days I want to get out just on a day where maybe you're teaching somebody else, and I could just be a little fly on the wall and
anytime
listen to some of that stuff. Cause I think when I look at my journey with Jolie I'm basically just trying to take everything I know now and really set this really good foundation of like teaching her things, teaching her new things, so that when it's time to at a year and teach something new, she catches on a lot quicker.
Yeah. She learns how to learn.
Learns how to learn a lot quicker because we've gone through so many different things. I'm constantly trying to challenge her. That's why the video about going around the cone was so cool to me, because it was like something new. And in reference to like this pet dog training and like this advanced obedience stuff, a lot of the pet dog trainers will get insecure and a little bit like, oh man. And it's just like, is it necessary? Maybe not for like the average pet dog owner, maybe not. But do I find value in pushing the envelope and teaching like that cool fucking focus stuff and going around? Of course I do. The reason I find value in it, not for the simple fact that I get to show that off, because that's fucking cool too. But it's like, dude, I had to put in so much extra work and time to get that out of that dog.
Right.
So by default, we just grew closer together.
Yep, that's it, man.
So
that's it right there.
Point on
you just hit a point right there. It's like, advanced obedience is not about, all the cool tricks. It's about that connection you actually build in building this. You guys both make mistakes. You might not reward at the right time. The dog might make the wrong choice, but then you're learning together. And that's why I always tell people like, yo, you need to like get off social media, because they want results right away. They want it to look a certain at a year old, you're gonna see it's all gonna click, and then you're gonna be like, oh. And then you're gonna be where you think, where you want to be right now, but you're gonna notice it doesn't happen overnight. It's gonna take some reps, but it's fun, man. It's fun when you're doing it.
I got her at 8 weeks, dude, and I'm very adamant every day, dude. I hand feed her every day.
Yeah.
Without fucking fail. And I'm not lying. If I've gone on vacay for a minute, I didn't, but like in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to miss an opportunity. I don't want to miss an opportunity,
Yep.
like that I did with Rosie. Like Rosie is my dog that, if any of my followers are watching this or listening right now, Rosie is the dog that like I was able to like transform from like the most misbehaved dog ever to like this like, model citizen.
And that takes skill. That doesn't just happen either.
That was also a result of literal, like she became like my focal point and like every single day. So like that's something that I really try to express to my clients who send me a dog for 3 weeks that I know might have this sort of preconceived notion that they're going to get Rosie in 3 weeks. Like, dude, sorry. I've been working on her for 9 years, homie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But what I am telling you is that if you're willing to sort of take this baton and continue on with this shit and continue to be dedicated in the same way that I was with your dog for 3 weeks, then I could assure you you're going to be very happy. But again, I always go back to there is no substitution for what it takes to get to that end goal. And this is important for me to relay to clients because I refuse to sell dreams. I will not say that you're going to get this or that in the third. I will only say I'm as good as you're willing to be for them.
That's it.
So.
That's good. Cool, man. I know we're kind of getting close to the end. You want to talk about the whatever he brought?
So obviously, to those of you who have followed this show know that we have a show and tell portion, and I know you brought something today's chat. So what is that? And
yeah, talk to us about
tell us about it. Yeah.
All right. So I really couldn't think of anything, so we'll just put this up for you guys to see. That's Jax. We recently lost Jax. Yeah.
Oh, I seen that, man. Sorry to hear about that again.
Yeah, it was rough. So Jax is the dog that brought me to my family and my wife, my kid. He was the dog that is responsible for all the good stuff that I have in my life today. And
tell us a story, man. How did he come about?
So Kyla, my now wife, at that time reached out to me. This was 7 years ago. She was the pit bull advocate, pit bull rescue, the same exact situation. She had Jax, and she was at the time promoting this Beauty and the Bully. So she was a model, and doing that thing. And so she was like combining models with pit bulls to bring positive awareness.
That's cool.
And she was producing a calendar. And at that time, I had already, when she reached out to me because she saw that I had some attention and it was pertaining to pit bull dogs. At the time, like I had no distinction between like what bullies and pit bulls and all that. I had no idea. Like I was calling my dog a pit bull. I really don't even know what the fuck she is. But anyway, so she had Jax, and she wanted to use Rosie for her calendar because she was reaching out to people with platforms and wanted to like produce this successful calendar using all the followers, and it was a really great business, really good idea. And so Rosie ended up getting the cover because no. So that's how that started. And Jax was her diabetic alert service dog. So he was like task trained and everything, like full blown, like real service dog. So like losing him was like super, super, super significant. Not that like other dogs aren't significant, but just what his existence was responsible for, like all the good that came of his life.
Yep.
The fact that like he brought two people together that are now doing great things in the world, helping a lot of people. To lose him suddenly in that way was like super tragic, but not for nothing, not for nothing. He's his life. That's what I try to say to my wife, because she's still struggling through the grieving process. It's been 7 weeks as of yesterday that he passed. It's like, you can't do anything about it. The only thing you can do is just to continue the path, continue. You can't give up even as hard as it is. It's like hard to learn to continue on when like such a big piece of you has gone. But we could end with this. If there's one universal truth, is that all things seen and unseen are connected. And the fact that he existed in this world and all of the change and all of the influence that he had will continue to be present in life moving forward. So he's very much so still here. He's still in my heart.
Yeah, man, that's oof.
He's a good guy. He's a good dog, and we'll never forget him. And we're gonna keep kicking ass. I appreciate you guys having me on so much.
Hey, man,
thank you.
Thank you for coming on. I think you dropped some gems, man, and I really hope that our followers and whoever listens, take something from this. I know they will. You gave some good stuff, and just guys, we don't, we're not making any money off this. We're literally just, doing it just so we could try to give you guys something back. And, we want to bring people on that we know are going to bring something to the table. And so thank you guys. Thank you guys for checking it out. And go ahead.
Chad, where can they find you when you do come back to social media?
Team Floppy is on all platforms, baby.
Team Floppy is on all platforms. And I'll put that in the description.
And then where can they find us?
At Elevated Canine Academy for the company's Instagram. Mine would be ROEL_G. And Oscar.
At Oscar Mora Dogs.
And if you're liking this video and you like the stuff we're putting out, if you could just give us a like, comment us. Yeah, subscribe, like, comment. Let us know if you have any questions. And who knows, maybe in the next episode, we might answer some of those.
Yep. And then make sure you guys share it. Tag us. All right. Peace out.
Sick. Thank you, brother. That was really fun. That was